You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 58 of the Tumbling Saber Podcast. Welcome back for our weekly dose of Star Wars news and other such ridiculosity. And, no point in beating around the bush. Let's get right to it. Corey, how's it going, man?
Not too bad. Yourself?
I'm doing okay. Big weekend had here, and we'll get to that. James, how you doing, my friend?
Terrific, guys. Looking forward to a fun show tonight. We also had a busy weekend.
Yeah, it was, I had a lot of Star Wars going on this weekend. I started it off Friday night. I got a chance to watch Bright Lights, which is the Carrie Fisher, Debbie Reynolds documentary from HBO. That was available on demand, so my wife and I definitely wanted to see that, so we did. Saturday, I was able to find The Force Awakens and The Clone Wars on vinyl. Couldn't pass those up. Followed that up with little Rebels action in the evening. And then SNL, every week they play a vintage episode. And this week, obviously in honor of Carrie Fisher, they did the 1978 Carrie Fisher episode, which was really fun to see. Followed that up with the Felicity Jones SNL, which was... sorry to say, but a huge letdown. And then today, a little bit of Empire Strikes Back action, and my third viewing of Rogue One at long last. Took me a month to get back to the theater to see it for the third time, but I'm glad I did. And, well, Corey, how's your weekend been?
Yeah, it's been actually pretty good. I'm starting a new job tomorrow, so I've actually had some time off recently, and I've been doing a lot of Star Wars-y stuff. I got right into the Clone Wars. I got that for Christmas, so I finished season 1 and just starting season 2. I bought 6 novels, stopped by the comic book shop. I'm all caught up on all my Star Wars comics now, which is great too, because when I went out to go buy the novels, I almost bought the trade paperback of Shattered Empire, but it turns out when I started bagging and boarding all my comics this weekend, I bought it already.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, I got some toys, a lot of Star Wars toys and stuff. It was cool. It was fun. It was a nice little time off.
Yeah, it's over now. Vacation time is over, and you're back to the grind.
Yep, it's a whole new adventure, man.
Good luck, buddy.
Yep, good luck with that.
Yeah.
And James, how was your weekend?
I was not nearly as sports or Star Wars packed as yours. Mine was pretty sports filled. I watched the Deflatriots stupid game yesterday. I really am not a fan of the Hatriots for sure. But
nope, not at all.
They won handily, and really, really terrific game this afternoon. I don't know if you caught any of the Green Bay game, but holy.
I listened to just minutes of the first quarter, so I have no clue how that played out.
Well, spoilers on for you, or are you good? Because it was a nail biter right down to the end. 34-31, the Pack pulled it out.
Wow.
Another great season. Actually, a great season. Not another great season, but just a great season for the Cowboys down the toilet. There must be some angry Cowboy fans right about now.
Yeah, some sobbing saddle riders. What are you going to do? Someone's got to lose.
and it may as well be the Cowboys, let's face it. I love watching the big fan bases lose. The ones that feel like victory is theirs by divine right. I love it when they fall flat on their faces.
Yeah, too bad the Texans couldn't pull it out. Anyway, so I saw the in-laws. Had a really awesome chat with my grandmother-in-law, and we'll get to that maybe at another time. But she's got some great stories about the Expos, man.
Yeah, that sounds like ripe territory for Sith Disturbers.
Yeah, yeah, we'll jump in there.
Awesome. So, guys, how do you feel now that Rogue One, if it hasn't yet, it will by Monday, which is when most people will probably be listening to this. So it's going to pass $500 million. As you're listening to this, it either has or is really about to. So, and the $1 billion mark is also about to fall. Pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, terrific.
Yeah, I don't know how many people really thought it would get this far, but domestically,
Corey did.
I think
I did. This isn't like
Yeah.
no big surprise to me. Like again, like maybe a little later on we'd be hitting these numbers, but no, this is not for sure. We got to hit the billion marker.
Yeah, like I said all along, like take The Force Awakens and chop it in half. So that was my estimate, and we're obviously right there. So I'll give myself a little congratulatory pat on the back, but I mean, as far those what were those Donald Trump protesters, the dump Star Wars guys? They must be pretty up in arms about this.
Who? The what?
The what? Yeah. Seventh movie of all time domestically to cross $500 million. So I'm sure they feel like they've done their job. So guys, I was able to take in Rogue One, as I mentioned, for a third time today, and the movie just I loved it so much more today. Everything about today's experience at the theater was just perfect. I got to go alone, which was nice. Not that I don't enjoy going with my friends, my podcast mates, but it was just a nice, quiet afternoon where I didn't have anything or anyone else to worry about. And I just sat there. I had elbow room on both sides. It was a quiet theater. And I just drank in the movie. And it was so good on round 3. Like I was just so happy sitting there watching it. But a question did come to mind. And I'm going to ask you guys for your answer, but you know when they have the Hammerhead Corvette smash into that disabled Star Destroyer, why not just have the Corvette just smash right into Shieldgate?
Wouldn't look nearly as cool.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's kind of what I thought. Well, Kyle, they're making a movie. But that could have worked too, right? Just repeatedly smash your Hammerhead Corvette into this Shieldgate structure.
Yeah, but I guess if you have this 2 Star Destroyers right there saying like focus all forward firepower on that Hammerhead, you know what I mean? Their shields wouldn't last too long.
I suppose.
Yeah, and then you're sort of killing 2 birds with 1 stone by taking out the problem as you open up the gate.
Yeah, a bold maneuver
it's,
by that.
No doubt.
Admiral
that was
Raddus.
A devastating, absolutely devastating maneuver. Yeah, but everything about that movie just resonated so well with me on round 3. And I think maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but there's a lot of dialogue during the scenes on Jedha. It's Cassian talking to Jyn and explaining a bunch of things to her and to the audience, and I think there's a lot buried in there. And now, of course, it escapes me, but there's a mention of Saw's sister, which I never caught before. I don't think he mentions her by name, but he definitely references her. And I think there's a lot of dialogue in general from the scenes on Jedha that I think refer to things that we will eventually see or could possibly see. And I need to take a 4th viewing so I can cement that dialogue in my head. But something for you guys to keep in mind if you do manage to go out to see it one more time before it leaves theaters, and for everybody out there, that's those scenes, that dialogue. I think there's a lot there.
I'll definitely look out for that next time I go see it.
Yeah, I believe that. I think they're burying all kinds of stuff. We'll get to some of that when we've got a question coming from one of our Commonwealth mates, Mark. where we'll touch on that. But I think they're going to be cross-burying a ton of stuff. I think they got a lot of that in the works.
Oh yeah, and we have a lot to get to before we get to some listener questions. But I wanted to throw that question out to you guys to kick things off. But Corey, it's a shame that nobody ever invites you out to the movies. You could have actually taken in a viewing if somebody would only invite you.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of sad, actually.
For those who don't know, I invited my younger brother to the movies yesterday afternoon, to which he said, "I'll check with my wife," and then I never heard back from him.
Yeah.
I guess she said no.
No, I didn't even really. I knew we had stuff planned, but I was kind of thinking of a way to worm things in there, and then just got late, and
Yeah, so a courtesy a dude can't swing it. Well, I guess that was a bridge too far.
Oh, you figured it out.
I didn't need to figure it out. As soon as you said, "I'll check with the wife," I know that's code. All right, guys, let's get into the Star Wars news. There was an awful lot of it this week, and we'll start it off with the same thing that we kicked it off last week, except now we have sort of a more definitive answer, or do we? So Lucasfilm releases a statement, which is rare for them to do. But they said there's going to be no CGI Leia. No detail, they didn't really
elaborate.
Get too specific. Yeah, there wasn't too much elaboration.
I have a theory.
Let's hear it.
So I think they've decided that they're going to recast. And so in order to, diffuse what is obviously a potentially volatile situation where you're going to upset fans no matter what you do, I think they've decided that they're going to recast. And so they've gone out and made a statement that suggests that CGIing is somehow the wrong way to go. They came out and basically said, we're close to this and we know we're best, and we don't want to CGI it because that just wouldn't be right. To sort of put it out there to let fans sort of know that and digest that and think that that's true. And so when they announce the recasting, that we accept it. That's my theory.
It could be, yeah. It could be like the the sugar in the medicine that helps it all go down.
Yeah.
No, that's
because the public perception now is that there's no CG coming. Whether or not there's some vagueness in the statement, if you want to read vagueness in their statement or not, the perception is that there's no CG. So they can't go back on what they've said now. So I would say going forward, and at least for the next X number of years, we will not see Carrie Fisher's likeness recreated in CG. At least not the General Leia version. As I was considering this, I thought about the creators, the Rian Johnsons, the guys who have to sit behind the computer and doing this. And I would think that part of the decision to not do it, aside from I guess what they perceived or what they figured was a bad idea, or in poor taste, it would probably be really difficult for those people to sit there and try and bring somebody back that they just months ago were working with and adored. I figure that probably takes a toll on these people that knew Carrie Fisher to some degree.
You know what? I bet you'd have two camps on that even though. I bet you there'd be artists who'd be chomping at the bit to pay tribute that way, to make it the best thing ever kind of thing.
Yeah, I bet you there was somewhere some artists are going, damn, I would have liked to have taken a stab at that and done right by her using my skill set.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump in here, and I like what you said, James. Just hypothetically speaking, but I really personally I don't think they're gonna recast Leia. Not yet, anyhow. If they do it, it'll be, like you said. If they do it with that girl from Stranger Things that you were talking about, and a different storyline, maybe I can see that being plausible. But I do not see them recasting it with just a whole new Leia. I don't think that would sit well with fans whatsoever. I really do think this means either probably both, maybe a bit of reshoots and some rewrites. And who knows what they have filmed? That's the big question: is what do they have on film right now? There's
Well, from
possibly a lot
what
of
I
things
understand, they have 8 in the can, right? So it's 9 they're talking about.
Now,
Her footage is in the
have
can, I
8
should
in the
say.
can. Principal photography for 8 is done,
Yeah.
and they're going to be doing reshoots for that this year. Now, whether or not the reshoots involve Leia remains to be seen.
Well, there's probably just additional footage of Carrie Fisher, like deleted scenes, possibly, like stuff that's not going to be used in 8 that could possibly be used in 9 if they choose that route, or who knows, maybe sadly something happens to her in episode 8 now, where they kind of rewrite that role a bit.
Well, I almost said that to you before, as you were saying, you like my idea, but you don't think they'll recast. The other reason I keep going with recast is because the other option means they're going to write her out, which I hate.
That's to me the worst idea. And
Yeah.
I see a lot of it online, and I
don't like it.
I don't like it. I don't understand it. I don't understand why. Oh well, just write her out. People would freak out. Like let's get a little bit morbid and reverse the rules and say Mark Hamill's the one that passed. And you say, well, you just rewrite it and write Mark Hamill out. People would freak out if people said that you could just do away with Mark Hamill that way.
But again, to me, like personally, it really depends what they have on film so far. Like we don't know like what kind of shots they have and what kind of footage they can work with and say, okay, like we can kind of change this around by using this here, and
Oh, you're right. It's a movie. There's a lot of moving parts. But they have enough to start working on an edit of the movie and for John Williams to start doing his thing.
Yeah, that's it. Also, I like the fact that Corey coined an excellent word in there. I think you said plausible, which I like. I'm going to use that.
Plausible.
It's totally plausible. No, but I knew what you meant, and you probably even said plausible, but I like the word plausible better. It's sort of in between the two.
But one thing I did not see, so which I think where Lucasfilm gets a thumbs up, is that I did not see one single person online screaming that no, they must redo Leia as CG. So in a way, this statement was a bit of a layup, because you didn't have anybody clamoring for CG Leia. You had people saying, if you feel that's best, then do it. But you didn't see anybody saying, you have to do this.
Nope, which is that's why I think they handled it right, because they've already decided to recast and they spun it the way they wanted to.
But I think we asked each other this question as well. Now, you guys, I think you sided on the CG over a recasting if you had a choice, right?
No, I mean, last week we all kind of said the same thing. Whatever you decide, I'm fine with. I don't think I have a preference.
I do. Like, I think I had mentioned that I don't want that whole Fresh Prince of Bel-Air Vivian thing. Like, I don't know. Especially if there's no CG involved in that, like what they did with Tarkin, kind of, like, I'd just be, like, drawn out of it. I don't know. Unless, maybe, I don't know, she has a major accident in 8.
Nah,
I'd be okay with it. I would have been okay with CGI.
It's going to be tough to swallow anyway. It's going to be tough to swallow to see somebody else up on screen as Leia. That's going to be really jarring. I imagine, none of us have that experience that I know of, but I guess it's kind of like if you were a child from a broken home and then suddenly dad brings home a new girlfriend. Here's your new mom. Like, wow, what? Whoa, what? I think it would maybe kind of feel like that just a little bit. Like, who's this new person? Yeah, this new face that used to belong to somebody who was so iconic to us. I don't get it. Yeah, like again, there's no easy way around this.
No.
But I think the worst thing you could possibly do is write Leia out. I think that would be absolutely insulting to the character.
I don't know. They got to do something, because it would suck in the same time if a role doesn't end with any significance, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, in episode 9, like you guys said, unless you recast, like, you can't really go for the full grandeur of the story that was intended for her, I wouldn't think.
Well, yeah, that's why last week the only definitive take I did have was they got to go ahead and do what they plan to do with Leia.
That's it. I was going to say the same thing. Just it shouldn't change. Her story shouldn't change. That's my hope.
Get her friend Meryl Streep in there.
That'd be cool.
Hey, maybe that's not a bad idea. All right, let's leave that where it is for now. I'm sure we'll talk about this again at some point when we have hopefully maybe more definitive and / happier news. But for now, let's talk about the confirmation. Making Star Wars had the report initially a couple weeks back, but StarWars.com made it official this week. Woody Harrelson is in.
Awesome.
Yeah, super good news.
That is such good news. That news still has me smiling. It's been about how long has it been? It's Sunday now. It's 4 days old, this news. And I'm still smiling over it. I think this is just the most amazing news. And I don't know why. I can't imagine Woody having a huge role in this movie. But yet I'm so stoked to see him.
Yeah, I've come around. I was only like lukewarm. I thought it was a pretty cool idea, but yeah, it's really the idea's grown on me, and I'm excited about it. I hope he plays Hondo. Frankly, I know you don't love that idea 100%, but I do.
Well, we'll get to that a bit later.
I think. Yeah.
Well, he's playing quote unquote Han's mentor, and that could mean a lot of different things. But it's interesting. I don't know if you guys read the whole release on StarWars.com, but, and it's not the first time they've done this, but they say the as yet untitled movie, which is being produced by Kathleen Kennedy, Allison Schirmer, and Simon Emanuel, is scheduled for release in 2018. Remember, they used to, for the longest time, it said for May 2018. And now they've dropped the May. And like I said, they've it's not the first time they haven't said something with the May involved. But this being, I think, the most public pronunciation or announcement, it seems like a foregone conclusion for me that this movie is moving to December of 2018.
See, I'd say that's plausible.
New word again. That's amazing. Anyway, I think we have a lot more to say about Woody later on in the episode. And I think, Corey, you had something you wanted to put in there now?
Well, just two things. I think the great thing that about Woody, like, why you feel so good about it and whatnot, like, I do as well, and it just feels like a good piece of that Star Wars puzzle has been filled. Like, he just seems like a perfect fit, you know?
Yeah, I think clearly for me is I'm taking the character Woody from Cheers and I'm putting him in Star Wars, which I shouldn't be doing, because that's why I love Woody Harrelson so much. So maybe I'm setting myself up for some kind of disappointment.
He was just as likable as I can't remember the character's name, but he was just as likable, and that's the thing, is he can play really likable in White Man Can't Jump. He plays really likable when he wants to.
And the role that we never mentioned last week is his role in Zombieland. I love that movie.
True.
He was amazing in that. So anyway, I'm super stoked about this, and again, we will get to this a bit later on. But it's safe to say we're all very Ashla on this.
Yeah. But quick
Ashla.
Thing, when I was reading the show notes on this, and you had mentioned the push for December, I went ahead quickly and Googled when the planned date for the Avatar release for number 2 is, and it's December 21st, 2018. So this is that's bold. Like, they're really that's going to be a battle. And it's going to be, I could see if they are being released at the same time, like, the media is going to build this up. Who's it going to be? Avatar, Star Wars, and then, it's going to be made out to be some, battle that's I don't want to be a part of, but
then don't be a part of it.
You know what I mean. I don't want it to have to come to that, but
Oh, it's going to. It's if Avatar is going to move though. I would put money on Avatar moving. Like the production of it seems already up in the air, and I would bank on it. I would be willing to throw a few dollars to the fact that Avatar will move.
Heard it here
All right,
first.
moving on. or maybe not. But guys, there's some rumors going around that Cassian Andor might pop up in the Han Solo spinoff. And again, there's a lot of potential spoilers. I mean, I guess not hard spoilers, but definitely there's some overlap here between topics. So again, this is something we'll touch on deeper later when we get to some listener questions. But did you guys catch the video clip of Cassian Andor at, I forget what award show it was, but somebody asked him, the interviewer asked him if he was going to be in the Han Solo movie. And he got all coy and evasive and Diego Luna didn't want to talk about it. Did you guys catch that?
I did. Yeah, it's at the Golden Globes.
Was it the Golden Globes? Okay. Is this an actor jerking fandom around, or do you think there's something there?
I don't know. It was kind of odd. It's possible. I can kind of see him having a somewhat small role in this film. I want everybody to have a role in this film.
Just put everybody in.
Yeah, it's the big galactic party.
I honestly think that they put him in just to put K2SO in. I think that they got to market K2SO. They got to jump on that, like, you know, there's always these things like the Boba Fett jumped out of the original trilogy unexpectedly, and so and now he was rewritten into the prequels as like the most important piece. I think K2SO is just going to be jumped on, and that's a reason to put, you know,
I don't know,
both characters in the movie.
It depends on the timeline. Like, I think from what I've heard, what timeline?
Oh yeah, when did he convert him? It's true,
Because yeah, he's been converted. I think it was 2 or 3 years, something like that.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You can't do it. That's too bad.
In Rebels, you could do it though.
Yeah, and there you go. There's their opportunity.
Yeah, there's an interesting note on that. Corey, we'll talk about the episode of Rebels Warhead later. But just a sneak preview of that. Did you watch the Rebels Recon for that episode?
I did not.
So Dave Filoni said, because I think they produce these episodes and way up in advance, and they don't necessarily know when the release date's going to be. And Dave Filoni said that if he had known that this episode was going to drop when it did, i.e. very close to Rogue One, he would have redesigned, or he would have designed the infiltrator droid to look like K2SO.
Cool.
Which would have made all kinds of sense.
Yeah, that would have been a really nice throw-in.
All right, so do you think, without trying to step on the toes of the question we have for later, do you see, can you give me a scenario in which Diego Luna, i.e. Fulcrum, could make an appearance in a Star Wars movie? Because I think at first brush, it seems like you'd be shoehorning the character in. He's got to have a reason to be there. Like I'm assuming, this is my own headcanon, that this movie takes place far away from the Empire and the Rebellion. So what's Cassian Andor's business in all this?
Yeah, I can't see him really having a major role. I can even see him maybe having a cameo. The only plausible scenario I could put together is like if Han, the original story of Han, with him being in the Imperial Academy and whatnot, is maybe seeing Cassian in the background, like being a Fulcrum agent, kind of, possibly.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah.
And someone, it could be a small part too, and you know, it could just be the ripple. Like you could put the idea in Han's ear that like, you know, not everything's so hunky dory.
True.
Yeah, I mean he just flat out trying to get him to drop out and join the rebellion. To which Han just,
or who knows? Maybe Diego's not there yet. Maybe Diego's just like starting to ask questions. Like we don't know. We don't know when he sort of when this movie will take place, or how far along he's going to be in his rebellion himself. So maybe they're just starting to ask questions together.
Well, he does say in Rogue One that
he's been there since
he's been part of this fight since he was 6.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's
But it's true. Like, we don't know where he's at all times. He could be deep undercover somewhere.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if he was the one who planted the seed, though. Like that, just sort of turned Han off the whole thing.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm tagging this Bendu. You know, as much as I like the Cassian Andor character, I like Diego Luna, his portrayal of Cassian Andor, but I just don't want this to feel like almost like fan service shoehorning. If he's going to be in it, he's got to have a purpose. I just don't want him there just to whisper in Han's ear, "Oh, by the way, come join the rebellion."
Could be.
I think that would be pretty, and then at which point he just disappears. Like, I think that would be kind of weak.
No, I'm on the same page as you there.
So you're Bendu?
Yeah.
All right. James, I assume, are you Bendu, or are you?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see him, but I agree with you guys that I never like, for any reason, frivolous fan service. So anything has to be done right.
Awesome. We're agreeing way too much lately. All right, so this past week, there was a Disney cruise, which was very heavy on the Star Wars content. And Brian Young from Full of Sith was there. And also there was Ashley Eckstein, who, as we all know, is the voice of Ahsoka. And they were talking about Ahsoka's future, and in her opinion, and she said she doesn't know the truth, but she thinks Ahsoka is alive. Now, I don't know if she's just conflating alive with, yes, she's a flesh and blood being still walking around out there, or if her presence, spirit, so to speak, is still out there. You know, we just don't know. But Eckstein is very hopeful that we'll get to see more of Ahsoka in the future and learn more about her past as well. Corey, what do you think?
I think it's amazing. I think she probably knows something that she's just not able to say. Like, I don't think she knows anything about what's happened to her character, where her character's going, but in the long run, she's probably had a meeting and saying, you're going to be back at some point to tell the end of your tale, you know?
Yeah, I would think so. And she thinks, again, this is important, she thinks, she doesn't necessarily know, that there's a connection between the Mortis arc and what happened to Ahsoka at the end of Rebels Season 2. So that's almost a direct quote from one of Brian Young's tweets.
Yeah, which is amazing. Everyone's kind of been speculating on that as well, and it makes sense with the converies and stuff, which we'll get into. But
yeah, and I think what she's getting at is Ahsoka was dead in that Mortis arc. Again, is what happened to them real? Or was that a force vision, whatever you call it, that they had on that Mortis place? Or, because actually when she was quote unquote dead, the sister, Anakin, was sort of a conduit that he used the sister's energy, force, life force to bring Ahsoka back to life. So I think that's what Ashley Eckstein's getting at, between the connection of that arc and the end of Rebel Season 2.
Makes sense, and it's super exciting.
Have you gotten there yet, James? End of Season 2 of Rebels?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, so still some stellar Star Wars action coming your way.
Yeah, it's good. And I almost started watching yesterday, but the only reason I didn't is because I can't get the box going that I'm using to watch this stuff. So technology issues settled, I should be jumping back into it this week.
See, what I like to do is hit it with a hammer.
I was close. Oh, I was close today.
Oh, well, just follow through with that.
You seen that that scene
tomorrow.
in Office Space?
With the fax machine?
Yeah, and they just go bare fist at the end when Michael Bolton just goes in bare knuckle.
Of course.
Oh,
Seemed appealing.
man. I got to watch that movie again. It's so good.
Excellent, yeah.
All right, so I am, needless to say, 2 thumbs way up on Ashley's opinion, because we share the same opinion that Ahsoka is alive and will be back. I mean, it's a foregone conclusion, I think, that Ahsoka is going to be back. Would you guys agree?
Of course.
No clue.
The way things
You will have a
ended,
clue, James.
those 12 tops cards that Dave Filoni sketched were, I don't know, playing out some kind of vision or idea that he had in his own mind for her destiny. So I really hope there's big things in line for her character. I really think that she's going to be like a Bendu almost. Like, she's going to have a knowledge of both the light and the dark, having, and entering
Like
this...
dark meat and light meat?
Yeah, something like that. She can have the best of both worlds.
Like a turkey?
I mean, are you guys white meat or dark meat guys on a turkey?
Dark.
Totally Bendu.
A little bit of both?
Oh, yeah, it's I can't even choose. Give me both, please.
Yeah, you gotta have a bit of both, it's true. I like a little bit of white, but definitely I would prefer dark meat.
I think the white meat is just sort of ease your guilt.
No, it's delicious, but it needs gravy. See, dark meat doesn't need
exactly.
gravy.
You can't eat just the white meat on its own.
Why can't
Unless it's
you?
been brined or smoked somehow. Just plain old white meat. Blah.
No, but you say that, but then like turkey breast sandwiches are amazing.
Yeah, that's because you put bacon and mayo in there.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so the next story is kind of related to what we just spoke about. MakingStarWars.net a couple weeks ago had a story about that I completely dismissed at first. These birds, which were kind of described to them as puffins with teeth, that were kind of all over Act 2, and I tried to avoid the story, A, because it seemed weird to me, and I'm trying to stay a little more spoiler-free. So I blew kind of through that story and didn't commit much of it to memory. And then they followed up on it because they were getting people were asking questions about it, saying, these birds, these little puffin-like creatures, could these be the convors that appear from time to time in Star Wars animation that we've all sort of assigned this amazing amount of importance to? And MakingStarWars.net has gone as far as to say that it, quote, it appears highly likely we will be seeing convors in Star Wars Episode 8. I guess Jason over at MSW started probing his sources and thinking about it and going, yeah, the design of these birds kind of lines up with what I guess live action convoy would look like. And I don't know about you, Corey. James, I don't know if you've seen an episode with these birds in it yet. But Corey, this has got to have you excited if I know you at all.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge news for all of Star Wars to like kind of tie and bring a lot of like everything together. Like the animation stuff, what we've been seeing there, it's not going to be for naught. Like it's huge. It could be so many different things. Like the lore and the mysticism, like these birds are kind of that right now. So it's what are they? Like that answer is kind of like driving me a bit mental, and to know that they're going to be in the movie or possibly in the movie, like says a lot about their importance again. And, being on Act 2 itself also says a lot. And these birds to me, they kind of represent like almost the gray. I would think they're kind of like all knowing almost. Like, I think whoever written the article, I don't know if it was Jason or not, but
It was.
okay. Anyhow, they speculated on them being kind of like recorders of like the journals, like the journals of the will or something like that. But it's almost like when I see the one that's perched on Bendu, it's almost as if he's reporting to him, like whispering little nothings as to like what he's heard or what news there is, what force news is going on out there.
They're the force equivalent of carrier pigeons.
Yeah, something like that.
They sound a lot like Saruman's birds.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny. They mentioned that Jason was talking about something about Dune, which I know nothing about, and some similar type of messenger. Dave Filoni has called them an observer, and he also said, messenger is another word, and he wants us to definitely debate about this. But I find it really amazing that these birds. If I'm gonna lose it. It's gonna be so cool if they start tying all this stuff together via these birds. Just thinking about that sentence where I just said sounds absurd, but it's no coincidence that every time something big happens, especially in the animated stuff, and when the Force is involved, those birds are there, and they're just hanging around. They're not particularly doing anything other than observing, but they're there, and it's got to be for a big reason. And to connect those things to Luke now, if they're on Act 2, boy, this could be a game changer, I think.
Yeah, big time. Like what is it's almost as if it's on like the tip of our tongues, or like once it hits us in the face as to why and all that, everyone's gonna be like, why didn't we think of that? But for the moment, I've pondered over it, and yeah, it's really something.
Tell me you said that on purpose and you just didn't run out of words.
No, of course I did. It's just crazy. Like, we're all like mulling this over, like you said, debating it, talking about it, like, which is just what they want. But it's super interesting to know that all this could tie in together eventually, which is kind of like weird we had talked about this as well. Like some fans not necessarily watching Rebels and stuff like that. In that regard, they might miss out on a lot. It might not mean anything to them.
Well, I mean, they'll get caught up real fast.
True, we'll have an introduction to them in a whole new
I
light.
think there'll be enough info in the movie to tell people what these birds are and what they do, what the role is.
Yeah, true.
But I'm gonna tangent here just a little bit. We've been talking about this on and off for a long time now. The future of Star Wars, where is it going? And it's I don't think it's a coincidence anymore that we're learning. We're having more locations from Star Wars' past coming into our present, and that's clearly not an accident. So Act 2 is the home of the first Jedi Temple. We think we've seen Malachor now, which has been sort of a ghost town for eons. Jeddah, as well, is a place that seems ancient.
Mustafar.
So it seems like, according to old interviews and stuff like that, that we're kind of nearing maybe the end of the 100-year timeline of this Star Wars saga. But it does line up awfully well for them to go back and start exploring Act 2 and Jeddah and Malachor as places that they can dig deep on in future movies, right, Corey?
Agreed. 100%. There's so much there. Like, just Twilight of the Apprentice. When you see that one, James, you're just gonna be like, wow. Like, even them, they're like, what the heck happened here?
Awesome.
Yeah, imagine seeing that on screen.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. And what it was, that temple. What is that temple? That holocron too. That question is still. Well, we've kind of had that question answered somewhat.
Well, we know that temple is. It's a weapon of some kind.
Yeah, exactly. Like, of what kind of magnitude or power, though? That was...
It's the ancient equivalent of the Death Star.
I would think so.
So at some point in time, we are going to get another planet-killing weapon or whatever its destructive power does. I was kind of hoping we'd not see that anymore, But we're gonna.
But they've already hinted at what that does, right? Like they've got all these desert planets that probably didn't used to be desert planets. Like,
yeah, so
I think it's a life-sucking force, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, James. Jakku, another one of those planets that has probably been important for a long time in Star Wars, that it is only coming to light now for us. But yeah, as it said in Aftermath, that planet used to be almost, I imagine it almost looking like Scarif.
Or Naboo.
Or Naboo, yeah, or Yavin, for that matter.
Hey, I'll be in Naboo in like 45 days.
That's right. I guess you're getting ready for that trip.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Now, James, you have to bring a lot of rolls of film.
I will, but first I'll have to get in my time machine.
Yeah.
Do they even sell? Do they sell film anymore for cameras?
Of course.
I'm sure they do.
I mean, I know photographers probably still prefer film in some instances, but I can't say that I've seen a roll of film on the shelf anywhere at a Walmart or what have you.
Probably think it's behind the counter.
No, they don't develop film at Walmart anymore.
They close that whole thing down?
No, like they do pictures.
Oh, you can do digital, right?
Yeah,
right.
You can send your digital files.
Right.
Anyway, wrapping up on the Converies. This is every sort of Ashla for me. I'm beside myself with joy that they're going to put these things on screen. I think there's opportunities there to connect so much stuff and make things so much more interesting.
Yeah, they could be like, I could see these guys, like you said, connecting that whole era we had just talked about, like the Knights of the Old Republic style. Like they could be the ones almost journaling everything, like being a segue through the whole saga in a sense. Like to,
I was sorry to cut you off there, Corey. I was watching Rogue One today, and there's a sort of a wide shot. I can't remember exactly what shot it is. It's on Jeddah, and I think it's in the section where Bodhi is taken by Saw's guys. And you see a flock of birds flying off in the distance. And I right away wondered to myself, are those convoys, whatever they're called? In my mind, I was like, okay, why not? For me, those are convoys just hanging around Jeddah.
that's awesome.
They're probably not, but in my mind, they are.
Yeah, why not?
But for now, Corey, I think we're going to talk quickly about Rebels. So James, you get a few minutes of break here.
Cool. I'll go grab a pickle from the pickle jar.
My pickles?
You bet.
Yes.
I still have like maybe 5 left. This is it. They're done tonight.
Nice.
All right, boys. Enjoy your Rebels talk.
All right, we'll be in touch.
Yeah, fire me off a text when I can come back.
All right, Corey, the episode called Warhead. What did you think?
Yeah, it was kind of Miller time, like you'd said last week. It was good. I mean, it was.
I was about to say, what are you talking about? And then yeah, it came back to me.
It was fine.
A little something for the listeners who really pay attention week after week.
I mean, it was okay. It was kind of a filler episode for me. I really had nothing. By the end, you kind of saw what the long game of the episode was. Fine. I kind of felt bad for Zeb in this one. Like, he finally gets his moment in the spotlight, and it was kind of almost like last kid being picked in gym, you know? Like, not only does the crew give it to him, like, sorry, Zeb, like, loser. And they all leave him there. Like, even Chopper and AP5 are like, hey, loser. Like, you're stupid. Like, the droids everyone's picking on Zeb.
They were. And for me, that was the best part of the episode. Is the quips and the burns that AP5 and Chopper zing Zeb with throughout, and the crew, the rest of the Ghost crew. I thought they were all really funny. They all landed for me.
Yeah, me too. But I kind of just felt bad for him. Like, how come Zeb's getting all the hate? This is his time to shine, man.
Yeah, I know what you mean. If there's any Zeb heads out there who are really devoted to this character, maybe they're not totally pleased that not only was he insulted time after time in the episode, but it really was an inconsequential episode.
Yeah, and you got to think like two things in this episode like bothered me a little, like this little nitpicks. Like one being, there's got to be some kind of protocol, right? Like, why would Zeb have even brought that thing back to base without having a little more information on hand first? Like, yeah, well, let's bring him back. It seems kind of cool. This droid's just, it's there. Has nothing to do with the Empire, I would think.
Yeah, he should have just left it there and had Chopper or AP5 run some kind of diagnostic right there on the site and determined what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't AP5 do something
Well,
to him on site, or was that only when he got him back to base?
well, he activated him by saying the word Rebel Base.
No, I mean when they found him out in the wild there.
Well, Zeb gets the message from Fulcrum. From Callus. Callus warns him saying, there's one missing. Here's what's gonna happen.
No, but I mean when they found him in the desert, did they do anything to him there on site to identify him at all? Or they were just like, cool, let's just, I can't remember. Did they say, great, let's just bring this robot home?
I think they were. It was kind of just like, oh, he's like a protocol droid of some kind. Which was his guise, but... And the other thing, too, was... I don't understand why the robots attacked, or the spider-like creatures, the Shelobs, if you will, attacked the robot in the first place, where... the robots we learned through Bendu and Kanan's story arc there, when where he learns how to see again, that, they won't attack you if you're not, if you don't have feelings of anger or hate, if you're just kind of calm and cool, like, they're going to let you be, So why would they...
Well, maybe they didn't really attack it so much as just investigate it.
Well, no, they attacked it. Like, they walked right up to him and started, like,
They kind of...
mauled him.
I mean, they kind of smothered him.
Well, enough that
But they didn't seem particularly aggressive, like they wanted to chop it to pieces.
Well, they probably had their way with it and then realized that, okay, this thing's not alive. It's not moving anymore.
It's no fun.
Yeah. But I just don't see why they attacked it in the first place. From what we know from them, but whatever. That's just a small thing.
Actually, rewinding to the first shot of the episode, didn't that remind you of Empire? Like, completely 100%?
Describe it to me. Oh, the probe droids?
The Star Destroyer launching out those ships. I guess in Empire, they're almost more like escape pods.
Yeah, that was awesome.
These were more actual bona fide ships. Even the music, I thought, was very evocative of Empire.
Yeah, it was cool. I love that.
So, I mean, it went without saying that infiltrator droid. I mean, they mentioned it in Rebels Recon, but it hit me right away. Well, that's a Macquarie concept for 3PO.
Yeah, 100%. Similar to Calrissian's droid in a way, but this is, a lot closer. Those eyes.
And I wonder how if I mentioned this on Twitter when I saw the preview for this episode. It's got blue coverings and red eyes when in battle mode.
Yeah.
Just like
Mr. Thrawn.
Yeah. Excuse me. So I thought that was a nice touch. Clearly, just by looking at the thing who it belongs to. But Zeb didn't.
No, definitely a big mistake. At least he cleaned up his own mess a bit, at least. Somewhat.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, Filoni would have designed it something closer to K2SO if he had known when this episode was actually coming out. Which would have been, I think it would have been really cool. I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity.
Oh yeah, big time. That's too bad. That's really too bad. And I'm surprised that he wouldn't have known at that point, like December release date. Season 3, like.
Yeah. I mean, it seems sort of weird that they don't know, but I'll take them for their word that, yeah, maybe we thought this could have released in March, or it seems fairly. No, actually, it probably should have had a better idea.
It could be ammo for him in the future to say, hey, like, moving forward, I want to let me in more on what you guys are doing with that universe, so that when I'm writing my stuff.
Oh, I think he knows. I think he knows exactly
where they're
what's
headed.
Going on. Yeah, I don't think there's much going on that Dave Filoni doesn't know about. Just my guess.
I would hope so.
So really, the only real takeaway from this episode is knowing that Thrawn, because of what the rebels did in reprogramming the droid and sending it back to the Empire only to self-destruct once it got there, that allowed Thrawn to cross off, say 1,000 planets and narrow it down to 94.
That's exactly it.
I think that's the number he used.
I think it was 97.
Yeah, whatever it was. I'm saying 94. Yeah, I mean, he narrowed down the field like by 90%.
Yeah, it's huge. And he was super happy about it. Like, Kallus was all like, why are you so smug? Like, this is pretty devastating blow dealt by the rebellion. And he's like, oh,
we just lost like 10,000. We just lost 10,000 people and a ship.
And he's like, whatever. He's super happy about it. And you can see Kallus, too, didn't even think of that either. He's kind of just like, fail.
Yeah, and Kallus, with 2 reports, or 2 contacts with the rebels in this episode, you got to think that he's pressing his luck a little too much here.
Yeah, kind of. He's definitely, something's going to happen to him sometime very soon.
Well, it's not going to be next week, because next week we visit with the Mandalorians, with what's his face?
Gar Saxon
and Sabine and all that side of the team. We learn about the Darksaber, which I think is going to be a lot of fun, very revealing. Hopefully we'll have a much more lively discussion about Rebels, because this one,
Yeah.
I feel, far be it for me to feel pity for Star Wars podcasters, but if you want a more in-depth look at this show, be sure to check out Skyhoppers, who will have an episode dedicated to every episode, actually. So you can check them out if you want to hear a good half hour on this episode. And the Nerd Room, they'll also have their episode up. So whatever you need, the Star Wars Commonwealth has got you covered. And I think it's time now to do what we always do at this time and head into Ads Edition. We'll hear from the very prestigious Knight of the Commonwealth, and we'll see what's going on with him this week. And we'll be back after this.
Brothers, how are they? Another week, another question. So I know we've touched on this on Twitter a few times, but my question this week concerns the Han Solo movie and the casting of Woody Harrelson, and whether or not he's actually been cast to play that lovable scoundrel and pirate Hondo from Rebels. So I look forward to hearing you dissect that one and see where we come out. And then the second question is concerned with Hera, and already referenced in Rogue One as General Hera. I wonder whether we may see at some point in the future, whether it's in another film, in an animated version, or even just a comic, General Hera leading a band of brave Bothans on a mission to steal plans for the second Death Star. And with this in mind, whether or not perhaps a few of the other characters from Rebels may tow along and lend a hand, which fits with what the Nerd Room, Partners in Crime in the Commonwealth, were saying on their recent podcast, that the longer it sort of goes on, the more it doesn't seem as if everyone from the Rebel team are actually going to meet their end, and you do wonder whether there are little side stories that may become apparent as we continue. So, look forward to listening. Long live the Commonwealth, and keep up the fantastic work. Take care.
And there goes Ads, the venerable knight of the Commonwealth. Thank you, sir. 2 more great questions for us this week to kick around. We touched on Woody Harrelson before, and we kind of hinted at the whole Hondo thing, but let's go deeper into it now. So, James, yay or nay for Woody as Hondo?
Great big yay! This makes me love Woody in Star Wars. The idea that he could be Hondo.
Corey?
I was kind of on the fence a bit, but I'm definitely gonna say yay in the long run.
Yeah, I'm on the fence too. I want to see Hondo on the big screen. I have no doubt that Woody could embody the character. So I'm a yay too, just because in theory I want to see it, but I think in practice, and here I'm going to be a wet blanket, I don't know if it works. Like, do you go and hire a cast Woody Harrelson and then blanket him with prosthetics and makeup, and then overdub his voice, most likely?
No. They'll get a nobody like they did with Maz. Oh, wait a minute.
No, and that's a valid point. Somebody had pointed that out to me, that no, they could hire a star and then not have her on screen. They did that with Maz Kanata. Oh yeah, that's true. So it is possible. But at least you hear Lupita Nyong'o's voice. Like there'd be almost nothing of Woody.
Who knows? I think Woody's the kind of guy who might be like, I could do that voice.
Yeah, for sure. I would
have put him past him. I think he could nail it.
Since we've been discussing the whole Hondo thing, that's the thing that I've kind of been trying to play over and over again in my mind, is Woody Harrelson speaking as Hondo, and if it would work. And granted, I don't think it's going to necessarily sound 100% the same, but...
No, it certainly wouldn't.
I think he could get it close enough. I don't think he'd have to directly imitate it, but I think he could put on a Hondo voice that we could digest.
Yeah, I guess not. I mean, I don't know how much voice work Woody's done. He's always kind of just done his own voice, so I don't know if he's practiced at all in putting on other voices.
I'm sure he's done something animated. You should Google that now.
Yeah, but he probably did it like Kyle says with his. He's got that he's got a pretty recognizable voice as is.
But I could see it
yeah,
going.
I don't know.
I see Kyle's point too. Like you see him with his features, his smug smile. You almost want to see Woody on screen, not necessarily Hondo.
Yeah, but you could say that about Lupita Nyong'o too. I mean, she's not hard to look at on screen, but Maz was pretty awesome.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, I'm a yay, but I'm gonna say that it's not gonna happen.
All right.
Can I walk both sides of the fence like that?
Yeah, we Ben do stuff all the time.
Yeah, I loophole that with you. I'm on that loop with you.
Yeah, I love the idea. I just don't know that. I don't think it. I don't think they'll do it, and I don't think it works as much as I would like for it to work.
I'll sort of agree with you. I'll say I don't think they're necessarily going to do it either, but I do think it works, and I think I hope it does happen.
Yeah, fair enough. It's good to have some slightly diverging opinions here.
Yeah, we almost disagreed there.
Almost. Maybe we'll find some disagreement on Ad's second question. So Hera, leading a group of rebels and Bothans to steal the Death Star 2 plans. Corey, do we need that story?
I don't think we necessarily... Well, it's been talked about enough now that I think eventually they will flesh it out. Now, I don't think they're going to flesh it out in any kind of live action.
No, God, no.
Like, that would basically be Rogue 2, which they said they're not doing, so I can definitely see there being a novelization at one point, or possibly even an animated, like, 1 hour special or something, you know? Like a lead into
Yeah.
something else, or...
Well, you can almost see sort of maybe like the wrap up to Rebels being a 90-minute episode of them stealing the Death Star plans.
Yeah, I could see that.
That'd be cool. I can't really chime in on that second question, other than to say I think that they keep setting up lots of opportunity for crossover stuff. So I think it's totally possible that, you know, the Hera storyline doesn't end with Rebels.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
In the long run, I think if the story is going to be told eventually, it will be done through a novel.
You think so?
I would think so. I don't know. I just don't see. Like I said, maybe the animated thing, but that's the only other avenue I think they'd venture.
I think if the mission is led by Hera, I think it's animated.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with my animated movie to wrap up Rebels. And if it's not led by Hera, then I think in that case you could do a novel out of it. But I wonder if they even bother at this point. I mean, how many people would be super interested in a very similar story to the one we just got?
And they could even retcon this too, in the sense that the information that they get from Rogue One kind of belies the truth that there's a second Death Star at the same time being built. Like maybe they get that tidbit there.
Yeah, I don't know when they get that information. I really don't. Can you envision any other missions for any other characters?
How do you mean?
So characters like Ads had said that, you know, it seems like a lot of the Rebels characters are going to live on. So let's give them something to do here, Corey.
I think Hera...
I'm putting you right on the spot.
That's fine. I think they're all going to become leaders. I can't say what's going to happen to Ezra and Kanan. We speculated possibly Kanan becomes either a Bendu-ish kind of character or possibly passes on. Ezra can maybe turn dark and become Benicio del Toro's character. Sabine become a Mandalorian leader of her people, which is kind of what we're seeing. Hera can return to Ryloth and lead her people. Zeb can do again the same thing. Like he can go back to Lyra Sun, I think it is.
Yes.
Am I wrong in thinking that Zeb was the last of his people, though?
That was what we thought for a long time.
Oh,
and
I'm
then,
not there yet? Okay, my bad.
Well, no, because I don't think you're not watching every single episode
No, I am.
of Rebels.
I mean, I'm only halfway through season 2, but I haven't skipped any.
You'll get there. It's a bit of a filler episode, but it's honestly one of my favorites. It grew on me right away. It seemed that way. Like people are saying, "Oh, it's just filler," but whatever. But the music and the visuals and even the storyline in that one, it's really deep. Like I get the chills watching that one when I see it.
Cool.
Yeah, I remember that episode. I can't remember the title of it anymore, but yeah, I remember
It's,
people.
Legends of the Lasat.
Yeah, that's it. I remember people being so struck by Kevin Kiner's music at the end of that episode as they fly into the star cluster.
Yeah, and that's the name of that song. It's called Into the Star Cluster. It's so good, like violins and cellos and stuff. It's like deep.
It it's deep.
Yeah, it sucks you right in.
Violins and violence. That's deep.
You'll see, James. You'll see.
I actually remember you guys talking about the music when you watched that episode.
It's very unlike anything we've heard in Star Wars before in any format.
But just the cinematography at the time when the music's playing, like, it's amazing. The visuals are like, it's very, very climactic.
No, it's a very memorable episode just for those reasons alone. And yeah, we do meet 2 Lasats And I think on the other side of that star cluster, they encounter a bunch more. I mean, not that we see them, but there's a whole planet of them, right, Corey?
Yeah, it's like this planet of prophecy. It's really cool. It's not chartered space. It's awesome.
Cool. That does sound
And
awesome.
that's what we speculated at the time. Like that if Zeb ever were to get taken out of the story, it's very easy to have him to send them off into that star cluster, which is almost wormhole-ish in nature, and he just sort of disappears.
Yeah, Chopper can be with Hera and live happily ever after.
Yes, I mean there's avenues where they could do away with all these Rebels characters if they wanted to. But Hera seems to be the one that has to me anyway, the longest legs for now, as far as what they could do with her. And we know, obviously, I'm saying this because we hear her name spoken in Rogue One. But she seems entirely too capable to just get rid of that easily.
Yeah, she's definitely a strong character. But it's funny you say
She's
that
named
after,
like-
compared to the two Jedi. You know what I mean?
She's named after like the Greek goddess who's Zeus' wife, like the top of the top, right? She's pretty important, I think. That's no accident.
And I think she's become almost too important that you can't just blow her up in the Ghost in a space battle. I don't think that works anymore. I think she's gone beyond that. If you're gonna do away with her at some point, it's got to be in a way that's more than that. Anything else here that we want to add for Ads edition?
No, just that we love Ads, and he always has such awesome questions.
Yeah, you my boy Blue.
Thank you, sir. And we'll move on now. Our friend Randomitable, who are going to...
Yay, Kyle!
You said it. Good job.
I know. It was something I've been practicing. I got it. And it didn't even really take much practice, to be honest with you. I think it was more a me issue.
Yeah, you just gotta let go.
And so he sent us a voicemail this week, as well as an email. He was very talkative this week, and I hope there's more of that in the future from our good friend. So let's hear what he's got to say.
Greetings to the tapestry of beings inhabiting the Star Wars Commonwealth. My name is Randomitable, at Randomitable on Twitter, as variously featured on Talk Star Wars and the Tumbling Saber podcast. Cheekily, I have not one but two suggestions for the alias by which I would go on the Commonwealth podcasts. First of which being Rando, as in Rando Calrissian, and the second being Randamaran, as in, of course, the legendary Poe Dameron. I've a question for the good folk of the Tumbling Saber podcast. If you could remake Star Wars in the style of another film, for example, and I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but in the style of 300, what would your choice be and why? That's all from me for now. May the Force be with you. Long live the Commonwealth.
And there he goes for the first time on the Tumbling Saber. It's Randomitable, and he threw a couple of proposed nicknames for himself out there. Randamaran was one, but I prefer Rando Calrissian. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I like Rando.
Yeah, Rando's good for sure. Dang, we all agree again.
Oh man, this sucks, man. I'm gonna start
we
disagreeing
could call him
just for the sake of it.
the Rand Corps.
There's another one. All right, the Rand Corps. What do you think about that there, Randomitable? The Rand Corps. All right.
It just had to be
for
different.
Now,
I
for
just
now,
came
he's,
up with
for now
something
he's
different.
Rando.
Yeah, we'll take that.
So Rando wants to know if we were to remake Star Wars in the style of another movie, what would it be? James, I'll kick it over to you first.
I would give it to and you're either going to like this a lot or you're not going to like it at all. But I'm going to give it to Quentin Tarantino. And let him super stylize Star Wars. Like I'd give him maybe the Han Solo movie.
Now, would they use our swears, or would he have to come up with his own?
Both. I think there'd be a combination of both.
And
there'd be a
closest thing.
There'd
The
be a lot of
closest thing
smoking.
to swearing is I think hell. I think Han Solo says hell. in Empire, and I mean, that barely rates as a curse word.
Well, to be fair, no. She Leia swears a blue streak and says Nerf hurt her. Oh, now we have to bleep that out.
Galactic rules do not apply here.
On a quick tangent in regards to that's one thing I always loved about Firefly is that it's based about 500-600 years in the future, and you can see that the two factions of Earth that have kind of survived are China and the USA. So in the show, they do swear, but in Chinese. So it's kind of cool. Like, you could tell that they're swearing, and it's Asian, but you don't know what they're saying, but you get the gist of it, you know?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of a loophole, right? Did you write that into them, Corey, as a suggestion?
No. I was along for the ride when that show first came out, and I was like, what is this?
Okay, so James, a Tarantino Star Wars movie would be interesting to say the least.
It would be
Highly
super. It would be
stylized.
super violent. I think you know what? It's not even the ground battle scenes. Although imagine him doing the droid battle on Naboo instead of what we had. But imagine him directing a space battle. I think that would be really cool.
You know, I've actually heard that rumor that, you know, he's come out straight and said it. I'm doing 10 movies, that's it, double digits. I'm getting there and I'm done, I'm out. He's left kind of a bit of a loophole, he said. You know, if something in the possible future comes up that I have to do, I'll do it. But I've also heard rumors that he wants to tackle a sci-fi project before it's all said and done. And he's got, I think, 2 movies left until he hits the number 10.
He likes choreographing cool fight stuff.
Exactly.
And I think a space battle choreographed by him would be cool. I think the fighting in the movie overall would be really cool. Like, imagine Chirrut in a Tarantino scene.
I like what you're saying there in the sense that he does the research, but I mean, Tarantino's really all about the dialogue. I don't see that so much working for Star Wars.
A lot of 3PO.
It'll be Carlos's favorite movie.
No, it could be like Lando, Han, and Chewie like sitting there for about 15 minutes straight, and like no edit, one shot. Just
Well, you
Yeah,
wonder.
exactly.
I think, James, you mentioned it earlier. The Han Solo movie would have maybe been perfect for Tarantino if he was going to do a Star Wars movie.
I don't know about perfect, but if there's one that maybe looks like it might be the one. Yeah, just to be different.
And I don't know if it'll ever happen. The way he kind of slammed Lucasfilm and Star Wars last year, because he was all bent out of shape that Hateful Eight was supposed to get some additional theaters, but Star Wars bumped it and snapped up all these cinemas that his movie was supposed to be on. So he had some less than nice things to say. So I wonder if he's burned that bridge.
oh,
I think
not
he
even
probably
that.
has.
I don't think he'd do it. I don't think he'd do Star Wars. He'd be like, I'm making my own Star Wars. Like, go to hell. Like, I don't need to.
Yeah, you're probably right.
He's not a big part of when he wants to do a movie. It's like all him, his stuff, his writing.
No, he's an original guy. But for the purpose of this question, that doesn't matter.
I kind of took to
Corey.
yeah, I took the question in a bit of a different way. I kind of took it as he was asking what kind of genre would you want to see this. So
I know what you mean, but Tarantino's almost his own genre.
yeah, I get what you mean. Tarantino's like one of the exceptions to that. You're right, like Tim Burton almost.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say the same thing.
But I mean, the low hanging fruit here is kind of, I guess, fantasy, which really works well for me. I love fantasy, Lord of the Rings style stuff. Like, it worked perfectly in that. And one other quick thing, like, I love and I think would work perfect with would be a Western.
Well, it is a space Western a lot of the
Yeah,
time.
exactly. It
Which
is.
again, Tarantino could probably do.
Oh, man. Space Western? It sounds like something Tarantino was meant to do.
It's just the dialogue, though. The dialogue would really get me. Like, picture Tarantino Star Wars dialogue.
Yeah, it would be stuff like, I love you. I know.
No, it would be like, it would be weird. It would be quite out
So
there.
now, Tarantino doing a Boba Fett movie would have me enthused, and if he made it in style of a Western.
Mandalorian Western movie.
That would have me going. 'Cause otherwise, I have almost no interest in a Boba Fett movie.
That does sound really cool.
Corey, you mentioned one of my guys. I would like to see a Tim Burton take on Star Wars, just to see visually what it would look like. I don't know if the movie would be any good. It would certainly be weird.
Well, you'd have to.
And Johnny Depp would be in it, which I don't know how I feel about.
He'd play Hondo, and he'd play Hondo perfectly.
Oh, God damn it, would he ever do a good Hondo?
He'd nail the voice too.
I'm sure he could. I mean, he'd almost just have to do Jack Black, or not Jack Black. What's his name?
Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow.
He's not that not that far off.
I mean, just change the accent. But yeah, I think that could work. Woody or Johnny Depp as Hondo?
Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Just because I know he's such a character actor.
Keith
Richards. I like Woody.
Yeah, and the other guy I had, which is kind of along the same vein, but Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, our lists are the same. I just checked them both off my list. I would have said the same too.
I think his Star Wars would be, again, visually stunning.
Did you guys see Labyrinth? Did I ask you this already?
Of course.
Labyrinth or Pan's Labyrinth?
Excuse me, Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah. Yes. Well, both are good, but I meant Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. I guess the year it came out, and not since.
Ever since that movie, I mean, I liked a few of his things, but ever since that movie, I really like to look at the stuff he puts on screen, and I think anything he did in space would look really cool. His creatures are amazing. Yeah. And so his imagination is wild. Is wild, and yeah, I would want it to be a monster heavy movie set out in Star Wars. Yeah, I'd like to see his take on Zeb. Oh man, yeah, like Zeb leading a monster squad type crew, directed by Guillermo del Toro.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I'd pay money to see that.
Agreed. We could see the. I like to see Del Toro's. What's the species of the garbage monster?
Dianoga.
Yeah, I'd like to see Del Toro's Dianoga.
Yeah, like flesh out the entire character.
Look left, look right.
Yeah, he could show us what's beneath the surface, right? Well, normally I would say thank you, Randomitable or Rando, but you had a lot on your mind this week, so you sent us a Twitter message, and you want us to kick around the following. So you said, "Afternoon all, quick question for you. Something that has troubled me, and we'll be happy to help you ease your troubles. Why do we not see any K2 series droids after Rogue One? And the best you could come up with, Rando, is that they were all destroyed by the Death Star on Scarif. So having just seen Rogue One today, I have a fresh take on this. So I'm going to just say that there were, I think there probably are more out there. I don't know why we don't see them, but we saw one on Jeddah that Jin shot. Did you know that wasn't me? We all remember that scene.
That was the best.
So there was at least one more K-series droid on Jeddah, which they evacuated the whole place before nuking it. So I got to imagine that there's more K-series droids out there. Corey, what do you think?
I'm kind of with Rando on this one. I don't know if they were all destroyed there, but I almost see them as being close to the end of their functionability or whatever. Like they're becoming obsolete, so they're quite few and far between, maybe. Not as effective as other newer models. Like we see
which model?
We see the same thing with the Death Troopers, right? Like why we're seeing them now in Rebels, but Rebels is a lead up to Rogue One, but post Rogue One we don't see Death Troopers whatsoever anymore. So maybe
we don't see anything cooler in the OT though, or like superior in technology.
No. Not in battle droids, you're right. And I have to say,
you would think that the Death Star would be full of K series droids.
And I said even some kind of, like, to be honest, the droids from the Clone Wars almost look a little more advanced. Not advanced and like more heavily armed than K2, being an enforcer droid.
Yeah, you know what they did? We should have mentioned this before, Corey, but what they did with that droid in Warhead with his extending legs and his torso that opened up and the head that's cracked open, the arms that sort of extended and guns popped out.
You could have heard
that's what I was... that's what I was afraid they were going to do with K2SO. And I'm glad they didn't.
No, he was big enough already, but I was honestly surprised that we saw not one. Like, you were afraid to see like many little like trinkets and gadgets. Not one did we see. Like, I would have liked to see some. He's in like some kind of important droid. Like, they could have given him something up his sleeve.
I'm glad that he is as he is.
No.
Finally, a disagreement on the show. Hallelujah.
Well, he's still one of my favorite droids out there.
Oh, I love him.
He might be my favorite droid.
I mean, considering we've known him for a month, he's made up a lot of ground in the 40-year race that's been going on.
That's why
I mean, it's R2's so different, but it's him or R2, and boy, yeah, like you say, a month.
Yeah, and we can't forget about BB-8. He endeared himself to us very quickly.
Nah, he's like a second class R2.
What about Chopper?
For now.
Losers.
He's like a third class R2.
What are you talking about?
I don't know where you punctuate that. Did you mean what about Chopper loser?
Yeah.
Like Chopper's a loser? Because he's sort of a loser. He's got mismatched feet. Come on.
Hey, he predates R2. He's in the
That's
last
why
episode we saw.
He's
like
literally and technically a third-rate R2.
Whatever. In the last episode, when this droid's activated, this spy droid, like, he's analyzing everything and he looks at Chopper and he's like, C-series, like astromech, obsolete. Like,
well, there you go.
But he's still awesome. He proves them wrong time and time again.
Yeah, Chopper's awesome. Nobody's arguing that Chopper's not awesome. Anyway, circling back to Rando's question here. I think there are probably K-series droids kicking around. We just didn't see them. I think they evacuated some off Jeddah, and there's probably more elsewhere.
Or maybe they all got the butt end of the stick once they found out that K2 defected and was a part of the reason why the plans were stolen, that all K2s were thrown in the incinerator, the garbage compactor.
They kind of had to make sure they were all destroyed because really, like, it looked like K2 could take, like, at least, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 stormtroopers. So, like, if you had any left, why wouldn't you use them?
They watched Terminator during one of their lunch breaks one day and were like, "Yee, God, let's get rid of those guys. Those droids are dangerous." And yeah, that's a good point, Corey. Maybe they decided, yeah, these droids are corruptible, and they gotta go. They're a liability. All right, thanks, Rando. Voicemail and email this week. That's a lot of work you put in for us. But feel free to do so again in the future. All right, we'll wrap up the show with Mark from Talk Star Wars. He sends us
Hi, Mark.
Hey, Marky Mark. Hey, gents. Hope everyone is well. You guys doing well?
Yeah, pretty well.
Pretty well.
I hope Mark's doing well.
I trust that Mark is well. I trust that Mark is tired, as he is constantly chipping away at the mountain that is this podcasting beast.
That's all he does. And while we're mentioning Commonwealth real quick, did you listen to Nerd Room this week?
I listened to, I think, 3 Nerd Room podcasts this week, but I don't know if it's the most recent. I'm still trying to catch up.
Commonwealth more than they say I think. They're awesome. Thank you,
no,
guys.
actually, you know what? I no, I haven't listened yet. It's on my list. I think I might be fully caught up with Commonwealth shows this week.
Yeah,
I hope.
I think
My
Mark
God.
listened. What reminded me is Mark said he listened to them all, which hats off to you, man. I have a hard time listening to 5 podcasts in a week.
Yeah, it's hard.
And there's more than that in our there's more than that in our
It's
network.
really
So
hard to keep up, man. I feel
Yeah.
bad. I almost feel guilty in a sense that way, you know?
me too.
Well, you should.
It's I know. I'm like, sorry, kids, I can't read you a story. I got to listen to Uncle Kyle's podcast.
Exactly.
Cook the kids dinner or listen to the podcast.
They ate yesterday.
They'll live.
Yeah.
Okay, so with whispers hinting that Cassian Andor may possibly be in with a chance of popping up in the Han Solo movie, could we expect to see other Rogue One elements in the next A Star Wars Story film? There was talk that a location in Rogue One was designed to appear in latter movies, and many of us thought it might be Vader's castle on Mustafar. But what if it's the Ring of Kafrene, set to appear in Han Solo? Wouldn't it be cool if we got to spend a little longer there with Han and Lando next year? I think it would be. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think of that, and maybe we could hear if you have any other expectations for Han Solo. Any other cameos you expect, be they characters or locations. Long live the Star Wars Commonwealth, Mark. So James, there's a lot to unpack there, so let's take it step by step. Any other Rogue One elements in any other anthology film that you might think we'll see?
To name it specifically, the first thing that jumped to mind when I read his question was, I think that the planet, if there's a planet that's built to be shown in other movies, for me it's Jeddah. I mean, they set it up that it's got this incredible history, so I'm almost certain that we're going to see more about like how that statue came to exist, for example. I mean, I guess it could just be like a cool backdrop that they never explain. But for some reason, I think that that's a really important planet that we're going to see in some form in the future. So that was the first thing I thought of when I read his question.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get a huge handful of Jeddah as the years go by. He made mention of Mustafar. Again, I think we're going to see that explored much deeper over the years. Possibly as soon as this trilogy. I wonder if Kylo Ren takes us back to Mustafar. Maybe he lives there now.
Yeah, I think that was the I don't know if the obvious choice, but I think that was sort of the suggestion when one of the articles I read said they're going to use that script or that set for sure again. It was going to be for Kylo Ren. But I don't know. I like the idea that they'll keep using this stuff and bringing us back to familiar sets and scenes for the same reason I like them using the same Star Destroyers. Like, I like the familiarity.
Yeah, what is it about that? What is it about all this interconnectivity that we love so much?
Keeps it connected.
I think it makes it feel real.
Yeah.
Just like how this week at work or last week at work, Kyle, you had the small world experience through the podcast. The world, like the universe, the galaxy should feel small in some ways, as big as it is.
Yeah, you're right. No, that's a good way of putting it. That's a really good way of putting it. Corey, anything from Rogue One that you think is ripe for other movies?
Somewhat, but not really. I mean, the only thing that can tie the Han Solo movie is that we know the Death Star is somewhere in space while this movie takes place. I could kind of see a bit of a Catalyst tie-in here, and somewhat a Rogue One tie-in in the same sense that, Han Solo's a smuggling kind of dude who might... I would place money on him knowing Ha Zobit, who also is buddies with Saw Gerrera. So there could be some kind of connection or tie-in there. I'm sure these, elite scoundrel smuggling types kind of stick close together. You should kind of get that sense in Catalyst.
It's so funny how they just have us over a barrel. There's endless threads that we can pull at here. I think Mark made a really good point. I think the Ring of Kafrene makes a lot of sense for being in the Han Solo movie. I could easily see, as a trading outpost, you could easily see a bunch of smugglers heading.
Yeah,
out.
hub for sure.
Yeah, it looked dank, dark, and perfect place for Han to get in trouble.
And that would be the natural point to reintroduce Cassian. Like that could be sort of his recruiting center, so to speak. That could be his sector of space as Fulcrum.
No, I like it too. It's I think it's based in the Outer Rim, and I like the Outer Rim. Like I like where that movie can go. Playing in the Outer Rim, there's like the law is kind of not really in full effect as of yet.
No, definitely not.
So it's got that Wild West feel to it,
Yeah, so I'm a thumbs up to Ring of Kafrene in the Han Solo movie. I have I thought about it quite a bit today, and I have so here's a very loose way I think the Han Solo movie could shape up, and it depends on whether or not they follow through with Lucas's origin of Han Solo, because he was in one of the early scripts of Revenge of the Sith as like a 12-year-old, which sounds really weird. I'm glad they kind of cut that out. I think that would have been very needless. Nevertheless, Lucas did develop that storyline that Han Solo was raised by Chewbacca.
Really?
Yep. He was raised by Wookiees. Chewbacca was part of it. And
Tarzan?
Is there no
kind of,
mention anywhere? And I'm trying to think now. Like, wow, I thought it was just canon that there was a life debt owed to Han.
Who knows?
There still could be.
There still could be. I mean, well, hear me out. So I think that the Han Solo movie could kind of start. They could start all these anthology movies in the same general way, and starting it in the past. So I think that Kashyyyk has a good possibility of being in the Han Solo movie as the opening flashback, where it's Revenge of the Sith time, and the Empire has just kind of rolled in, and we see them sort of enslaving the Wookiees. And at that point, look, there's a human boy here. Take him. We'll throw him into the academy. And so that's what they do. So we see sort of this sad breaking up of the Han Solo / Wookiee family, which I think would be a really sad scene. So I think that's one way to start the movie, and then the movie becomes about Han slowly wanting to get out of the Empire and freeing
Han slowly learning to become a human after living with Wookiees for his life.
Yeah. But the movie becomes about him liberating Chewbacca, because they can't liberate all of Kashyyyk, because that only happens in Aftermath Life Debt. Spoilers. So that's kind of the way I see it. So it would go Kashyyyk as a flashback, and that's where you incorporate George Lucas's vision for the Han Solo character. Skip ahead to Han into the academy, and maybe that's where Cassian Andor is embedded. He could be in there trying to secretly recruit Imperial cadets, and then from there, once he does leave, that's where he hooks up with Woody Harrelson. And then from there, they get into all kinds of trouble. And again, if they follow the Lucas' story, there's a falling out with his mentor, and he turns his back on them, and that's the end of that story. But that's loosely how I could see Han Solo playing out.
Somewhat.
So I'm going with Kashyyyk as part of the Han Solo movie.
Well, I'm definitely dying. I've said this over and over and over again on this podcast. I really, really, really want to see what Corellia looks like and what's going on because that place breeds some cool folk.
That's fair. Yeah, I think we're overdue for an official look at Corellia.
If I could just run with this for a second again, I don't know, James, if you had anything to say, but we talked about 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, we said, what are we going to have for our next poll on Sith Disturbers? So we kind of came up with something together, and then this Thursday, I'm like, okay, guys, I'm going to post a poll, so we can talk about it next week, and blah, blah, blah. And I read the question out to Kyle and James again, and Kyle's just like, whoa, put the brakes on. I'm like, really? He's like, Mark just posted the exact same question we were about to ask. Like, basically word for word, drink. But word for word, almost.
Oh, you're calling yourself out now.
Yeah, give me a second.
Well, what am I doing here
is.
then?
Yeah, cheers. But no, like, we had the same options, slightly a bit of variance, but more or less the same. So we changed our poll options, and the polls,
Which will be revealed on Sith Disturbers, correct?
No, we haven't. The poll that we decided to, yeah, we're not going to talk about it. But he was asking about characters that we want to see in this movie. So that's the question we ended up landing up on: is what kind of characters do you think you'll see in the Han Solo movie?
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that poll whenever we get to doing Sith Disturbers.
But I mean, Mark asked that question too, though. No, doesn't he say like what kind of characters or?
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark will find out in Sith Disturbers, unless you want to, unless you want to talk more about it now.
Well, the only thing I could say really is that I want to see everyone in this movie. Like, I could see, like, all the bounty hunters. I'm gonna say Bosk, just for our good friend Wes, who's doing amazing work at Boxerless Bosk. I could see Salacious Crumb, Han's wife.
What? Get out of
Why
here
not?
with Salacious Crumb.
He could be there with Jabba. If Jabba's in this movie, why wouldn't he be like perched on Jabba's shoulder laughing at Han,
Fine.
You got Max Rebo. You see Chewie and like you kind of just mentioned on this, Chewie's wife Mala, his son, Lampa Waru.
Wait, are you getting a little bit fan servicey though? Max Rebo and Salacious Crumb.
Well, get this one. Lobot. Oh, introduction of Lobot.
Well, I confess I do not know Lobot's canon story, or his Legends one for that matter. But if we're gonna get Lando, then if there's a reason, and the aforementioned Wes is sure to let me know if it's not possible. But why couldn't Lobot be with Lando in the Han Solo movie?
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Like that's what I was saying before. This movie can have so many people in it, like Hondo, Maz, Jabba, Boba, IG-88, Dengar, Bosk. Like everybody's invited to this party.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't decide. Not too much though. Like everybody could be, but everybody shouldn't be. Not everybody.
I guess I say this more in the light of having seen Rogue One and just what they did with Rogue One and how shocked, most of fandom was with all the Easter eggs and throwbacks and whatnot. I agree.
Yeah, it's one thing to have them sort of just stroll by or be as part of a group like in Empire. Oh, you can say Dengar and IG-88 and Zuckuss and Bosk. They're all standing there. They're all in Empire, but really they're there for 2 seconds. You could do the same thing, but if you're thinking of giving all these people a role,
no, it's all gonna be like just cameos, Easter eggs, stuff like that.
There's not much harm in that. It just,
they're all characters that fit perfectly in Han's world, I would think.
Oh, they do. I'm not questioning that. It's just, I think there needs to be a reason why you do all these things, and why are all these bounty hunters always in the same place? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
They're going where the big money is, the big fish.
Like when we see Dr. Evazan and Walrus Man in Rogue One, you didn't need to do that.
You didn't need to, but I thought it was cool, and there was a big I have to say, like, that was one of the biggest reactions I heard from the crowd around us the first night we saw it.
Yeah, that's true.
I heard lots of gasps and, hey, did you see that? Like,
You sure it wasn't like people eye rolling?
maybe just you.
Bah humbug. All right. I think that's it. Mark, thank you for your question, sir. I hope we answered it to your satisfaction. There is a complaint department, by the way. You can email.
Chop rules with a Z.
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's empty. My inbox is always empty for that. It's always all positive. It's good stuff for the Commonwealth.
Indeed. And on that note, as we wrap up the episode, the Commonwealth is killing it, guys. Check it out. Be more up to date than I am. Don't be a delinquent. Go check out the Skyhoppers. They're doing some spectacular stuff. Ash recently did a video.
It was awesome.
Which was really well done. She's got another one coming soon. So you want to get on board with that and their podcast. The Nerd Room, they are just doing spectacular work. And if you're into comics and all the superhero stuff, they will keep you up to speed there too. And of course, there's Talk Star Wars and Generation X-Wing, who are going to be doing their 100th episode. Be sure, don't miss that. That's going to be a great episode. And the Rogue Squadron podcast, who always entertain. They never fail to put a smile on a face. And you got us. And we'll be back this week with Sith Disturbers.
Don't forget Robert Cast and TSW's Roundtable. I think they're going to be dropping their first episode this week.
Yeah, episode 1 coming this week. Definitely check that out. If you wanted sort of an intro into the Commonwealth, that's a good way to do it.
Knights of the Commonwealth.
That's going to be your best. That'll be your best window into the people and hosts of the Star Wars Commonwealth podcast, as well as some of the great listeners that we have across the network. So you're going to want to listen to Talk Star Wars this week. And my advice is just flush out all those other Star Wars podcasts. Just remove them all from your list and just add all the Star Wars Commonwealth pods.
Hey, congrats. I didn't get to do it. Congrats to Robert and his new addition. Him and the wife had a baby last week. So congratulations.
Yeah, baby Charlie. Welcome to the world.
Yeah.
That's it, everybody. Corey, where can we find you on Twitter?
Chop Rules with the Z.
The Complaint Department. And James?
I'm still at the Tommy Bombadil 1. Tommy Bombadil 1.
Excellent. And I'm at Tumbling Saber. Again, check out StarWarsCommonwealth.com. You will not regret it. The guys and girls of the Commonwealth are doing spectacular work these days. Everybody's raising their game.
Killing it.
The rising tide and all that. Please subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a review. That we got a couple reviews recently, and it does spike us in the iTunes rankings, which helps more people get into the show. So please help us out that way if you can. And otherwise, you can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, if that's your thing. Head over to the website, tumblingsaber.com, sign up for the newsletter. And I just want to once again say thank you to Ads, to Rando Calrissian, and Mark for their great input this week. We really appreciate it. And if you have something you want to get to us, you can email Kyle at tumblingsaber.com with your questions. We'll be more than glad to answer them on the next podcast. And until Sith Disturbers, which comes out probably this Thursday, have yourselves a good one, and we will talk to you again soon.
Self-redeeming qualities, have they hindered me? Hindering, was I blind to see that you needed me? All of me, well, you were there for me. I will be there too, watching, listening, every moment, wanting all of you. And I believe I can save you. Just don't let me go. And I can see watching you walking away from me. Were you watching me? Was it just a dream? Just a dream. And I believe I can save you. Just don't let